Welcome to Electric Evolution with Liz Allan. This podcast explores the transition to net zero and the systems driving real change in how we move, live and power our world. Every week I sit down with the people leading that change, those offering insight, innovation and impact in many ways people don't fully see until they hear their stories. If you're ready for real conversations that inspire action and drive change, please like this video, subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey, and let's cut through the noise and build a better future together. Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of Electric Evolution. Now, I have got Jonathan Porterfield with me today. I've been wanting to get this man on this podcast for over 3 years. I can't believe it, Jonathan. Today is just a joy to actually speak to you finally. So
thanks, so kind of you, Liz. Thank you.
I'm going to introduce you as Jonathan Porterfield, ex-Eco Cars, because you were the owner of Eco Cars.
Yes.
But he's very lucky now. He's retired and he's currently speaking to me from Spain. Aren't you?
Yes. I'd say sunny Spain, but we've had the most violent storms they've had in years here. And it's not baking hot. Like we came last year and it was like 22, 25 degrees all day. Every day here it's about 15, 16, not to rub it in. But it's not as hot as it was last year.
I'm not jealous at all. I think we've got floods in various parts of the country today, so that's fun. Right. You know, so yeah, we've been getting the rain, torrential rain. We did in Reading yesterday. But yes, it's definitely not 15 or 16 degrees. No.
Just to say quickly, drove here in my EV. Drove here. Southern Spain, Majaca, right at the bottom of Spain where it joins about 4 hours from Gibraltar, so the bottom half of Spain. Nice.
Love it. So let's talk about what you did before you retired. And I'm like I say, I'm not jealous at all that you're on holiday. It's been there since Christmas Eve, folks, you know. So nice, but you are coming back to the UK tomorrow, aren't you?
So we're going to head back. We're not doing it in one fell swoop, so I enjoy driving. We both enjoy travelling, myself and my wife and Monty the dog. I enjoy doing sort of vloggy type videos for my YouTube channel about how easy it is to drive massive distances in an EV, just to catalogue it and show people how I do it, so maybe it might inspire other people to do it. But on the way back, say it's not a mad rush to get back because I haven't got to get back to a 9-to-5 job, so part of the drive back is part of the holiday. So we'll drive 3, 4, 5 hours of a day, stop somewhere interesting that Mrs. P has found, spend a couple of days there, drive for another 4 or 5 hours. So it's just experiencing cultures and different bits of Europe in an EV and enjoying the drive.
Yeah.
No desperate rush to get home.
And so what are you driving at the moment then?
So last year, just for balance, I came in my 64 kilowatt hour Kia e-Niro.
Yeah.
2021 plate, and it was just seamless. And then last June, I bought myself a new Tesla Model Y Juniper. So we've come down in the Tesla this time. Right. So just to sort of say, you can do long drives in non-Teslas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've done it in our 38.5 kilowatt hour Hyundai Ioniq 2021 plate. So we went to northern Spain to Gijón last year, but we kind of went across on the Portsmouth to Santander ferry, 36 hours on a ferry. Interesting. Actually, it wasn't as bad as you think, actually. But we did Spain, and then we drove back through Spain and France. So yeah, we've done it. It's doable. It's doable no matter what, isn't it? But I'm assuming you've got a lot more range in the Tesla than you had. Yeah,
I bought the rear-wheel drive long range, so a genuine 330, 340 mile range. Sat at motorway speeds, and it is just awesomely efficient. And that motorway speeds here is like 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, and you know what the roads are like in France and Spain. And the motorway network's just brilliant.
Yeah, so, and the charging network's really good over there.
France is the best, in my opinion. Spain, it's okay, especially with the supercharger network. It's fine. But as regards other providers, not every service station in Spain has got rapids, whereas in France, I can almost guarantee every service station will have rapids. So,
And we just used our Electroverse card
yeah,
last year, and that made it so easy because it kind of prompts you, doesn't it, to kind of
yeah,
either use the app or
yeah,
to use the RFID card. So it just made. I think we only had like one little issue, and I think that was when we were in somewhere random in Spain. Sorry, no, in France, somewhere random, and there was just an issue with that
yeah,
charger, But we didn't really need. It was just going to be a top up, really,
yeah.
because we were wandering around somewhere. So yeah, it wasn't. It's not as if you can't see where they all are, but it's
No,
so much easier, really,
so much
than
easier.
people
Yeah,
think. So
yeah,
come on, anyway, let's look.
yeah.
You owned eco cars
I
for
did.
nearly 21 years. My God, wait.
Yeah.
But that was up in Orkney, but you're not originally from Orkney, are
No.
you?
So we moved. We
Come on,
moved.
give us your past history, darling.
So I set up eco cars in 2001. Is that right? No, hang on. 2004. Got married in 2002. My wife really nudged me. She says, "Come on, if you really want to get into the car trade, just do it." So she gave me the motivation to start dealing in cars. And we came up with the name Eco Cars because at the time, back in the early 2000s, 2010s, 2004, I dealt in LPG vehicles, so liquid petroleum gas, which was hardly any particulates in it. And at the time, they were London congestion charge exempt. So most of my customers, based in Leicestershire, where I was born, were in London. So the LPG network wasn't vast, but it wasn't that hard to find them from the likes of Flow Gas and Calagas. There was these places where you could go and basically fill your gas tank with LPG. So that was really, really popular, and that continued to grow, converting not just small petrol cars, but I also converted a Toyota Prius to LPG. So it was a tri-fuel car. So it was petrol, electric, or LPG. That was awesome. That was amazing. So it did about 50 to the gallon on petrol on average, but you put LPG in that was half price because there wasn't the fuel duty on it. You had a car that in price terms was doing 100 miles to the gallon. So that was really popular. And that converted Citroen C1s, Peugeot 107s, and the Toyota Aygo. And then I converted loads of petrol vans, predominantly the Citroen Berlingos and Peugeot Partner petrols, to gas. And then got all the certificates, and they went to loads of London companies because of the congestion charge exemption. So, and that carried on really well up to like 2009, when the London mayor at the time, I don't know who it was, might have been good old Boris, I don't know. But overnight they stopped the exemption for LPG vehicles for London congestion charge. Yeah. And literally, Liz, overnight the phone stopped ringing.
Oh,
it just completely disappeared.
Oh.
So I kept going for about 6 months, and then which took me into 2010, 2011. And there was a big event in London. I can't remember what it's called, but Robert was there, Robert Llewellyn. And it was at Battersea Power Station, and the name of the event's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember. But basically, they were all electric vehicles going around this makeshift track around the back of Battersea Power Station, and there was all the major manufacturers there, predominantly Nissan, that had the Nissan Leaf there.
Yeah,
I had to book a test drive, went round in the Nissan Leaf, drove home in my LPG Fiat 500, which was a demo car. Got home and said to my wife, I said, I've just driven what is going to be the next big thing. It's all electric. I mean, this Nissan Leaf Ursula was just absolutely amazing. 100-mile range, just couldn't get my head around it. Just fantastic. So about 6 months later, 1 or 2 Leaf would appear at auction, ex-lease, and I just snapped them up for next to nothing compared to the new price, because all the dealers in the motor trade at auction were just petrified of electric vehicles. So bought them and started promoting them on the website, and that just slowly built of buying ex-lease electric vehicles, because no one else really at that time, 2012, 2013, was specialising just in EVs on the used market. and just built the business up for there. And like any business, it's reputation, it's word of mouth. I never used Auto Trader. It's far too expensive. I just don't like Auto Trader. So it was just through social media, which is where I met Robert Llewellyn, and did loads of things together. So through Twitter at the time, and Facebook, and mainly YouTube, just doing YouTube videos about my journeys in my Nissan Leaf and buying and selling cars and picking them up, and so it just grew from there really. Just my passion for EVs was quite early on. I'm an early adopter.
You definitely are, aren't you? So when did you, right, okay, so when did you move up to Orkney then? Because you just said you're from Leicestershire. When was that move to Orkney?
So I moved to Orkney in 2013.
Okay.
So
And what was that? Have you got Scottish roots, or your wife?
Yeah, well, I have got Scottish roots in as much that my name Porterfield is a Scottish clan, I think. There's not many Porterfields about. My middle name is Bain, which is the Scottish surname. It was my great-grandma's maiden name, and they came from Caithness. Apparently my granddad, who I never met, was from Glasgow. So my dad always used to say, I've gone back to my roots, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But we just fell in love with Orkney. There was 7 electric vehicles on Orkney at the time, which fascinated me because it's a tiny island, mainly run by the council. And of course, I moved up in 2013, 2014, and I was still buying and selling cars. And what I'd do, I'm trying to cram as much in as possible. What I'd do, I'd still buy cars. I'd buy cars, I'll never forget it. I bought a car out of Bristol, BCA, a Nissan Leaf. So I'd fly down, pick it up, and this was just for stock, it wasn't for a customer. And then I'd just do YouTube videos and social media about driving from Bristol back to Leicester, stayed with my parents in Leicester, and then from Leicester all the way to Scrabster, which is just along from John O'Groats, catch a ferry, go back to Orkney. And so catalogue that whole driving experience, valet the car, video the car, put it on my website. And I'll never forget it, that particular car I bought out of Bristol, I sold to one of Robert Llewellyn's friends. He's on Have I Got News For You, and another Just a Minute. The bloke that walked around with the fridge on his back. He's a comedian. I can't remember his name.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's really
I'll have to check.
Anyway,
people probably know that I'll be checking this out while he's chatting.
So, supplied it to him. Now he lived in Exeter.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, hang on, I bought a car out of Bristol, took it all the way back to Orkney, sold it to a man in Exeter and drove it all the way back down to Exeter. I thought there's got to be an easier way of doing it than this. So that's when I then started saying on my website, look, this is, for instance, this is coming up next week in Exeter. Tony Hawk's. My wife's just
found it.
Tony Hawk's. Really nice chap. Anyway, so Tony Hawk's bought it. So then I thought, well, if I then say to people, look, there's a car at Bristol next week, a Nissan Leaf, it should be, at the time, £12,000. As long as I can make £300 profit, then let me know and we can sort something out. And that just took off, just being open and honest with people, saying, look, there's a car at the auctions next week, here's the condition report. You've got no clutch to worry about, you've got no oil changes, you've got no knocking of the engine, you've got no smoky exhaust. It either works or it doesn't. It's under warranty, blah, blah, blah. And people just love that honest approach of, and you want £300 for that? So, well, yeah, you go and pick it up, you give me the money, I'll buy it. And that just took off, just buy to order, which made me feel better because obviously there's less time involved, less carbon footprint of driving up and down and catching ferries.
Yeah.
And that just exploded to the point where I'd have 2 or 3 in stock, because there are some people, particularly on Orkney, that physically wanted to see the car.
Yeah.
But I'd say 70% of all my customers were south. I'd never meet the customer, I'd never see the car, but I'd get glowing reports going, this is absolutely amazing. And they enjoyed being part of the motor trade for the day. How long's the auctions? I've come from Eco Cars, come to pick up such and such a car. And I'd sort out the tax and registering it all online. And yeah, that's basically the story of Eco Cars. It grew and grew and grew till in the end, before I sold it, I was nearly turning over £1 million a year turnover.
Yeah.
And earning like £300 on each car. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, and over the years. So when did you retire last year?
It was just into COVID, so it'd be like 2020. 22.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's that? Couple of 3 years ago, something like that. I lose track of
22,
time.
well, we're in 26 now, so
Yeah,
it's a
okay,
little
a few
while
years ago.
longer. God. So, as as time's gone on, the number of EVs has increased massively, hasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
What were people going for in general, or was it just depends on what their needs were, you know?
So at the time, the most popular cars that were available second-hand was the Nissan Leaf and the Mitsubishi IMEV, or the Citroen
Okay,
C0 or the Peugeot Ion, because they were one of the same car.
right.
They were the most popular, and the old shape Citroen Berlingo electric and the Peugeot Partner electric and the ENV 200 van, they were really, really popular. And there's quite a lot of my old Eco Cars customers still running around on Orkney, still with Eco, supplied by www.ecocars.net on the back bumper, which I used to put on. And my customers would just leave the stickers on. I mean, they're massive stickers on the back bumper, big lettering in green. And that was great because people had liked publicising, which I think it's not a tiny little discreet sticker. It was massive, and they just leave them on the cars or the vans, which is always made me smile.
That's good. That's just that's the way to go, isn't it?
Yeah,
Actually, there's a company not for well, they kind of do car repairs and MOTs and stuff, and when they take you on, they put like a sticker in the car.
yeah,
I never took it off because I
no,
just thought, well,
no.
it doesn't bother me. It's a little bit of advertising for them,
Yes,
so
yeah.
it doesn't bother me. What about since you retired, so 2021 to now, what do you think about how the cars have moved on since? Because you're kind of retired, but you're kind of not really, are you? Come on.
No, I still enjoy doing my YouTube videos. I'm still passionate about EVs. I think they're just amazing, and I'm still interested in how the industry is developing. And there's a lot of anti-EV feeling out there, particularly from car dealers, because for a variety of reasons. So I'm keenly interested on how it is evolving. So yeah, I'm sort of still involved in it.
What are your thoughts about? Because I would agree with you about car dealerships, and if anybody's been listening to this podcast for a long time, they'll know that when I first started looking at EVs, when I first started the podcast over 3 years ago now, I had some problems then
Yeah,
with dealers. Last year, I helped a couple who have now got a lovely Volvo C40. Is it? No, it's not. Oh yeah. Anyway, it's got a 40 in it. I'm rubbish, aren't I? But either way, they had problems with dealerships in Reading, so I kind of helped them come to they didn't understand, and I've talked about this before, excuse me, on the podcast. They didn't know the difference between hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and electric, because lots of people don't. And actually, yes, we've got that I forgot about this last week. I couldn't remember the name of it. It's something like you find your electric feeling. There's an kind of ad. I've just heard it this morning on the radio. As my alarm goes off with the radio on, I was like, oh, okay, and they're actually doing a little ad from the government about EVs.
yeah,
Finally, you
yeah.
know. But yeah, what is it? What is it about dealerships that? Is it because Is it because dealerships are just they know their bread and butter. They know what they're selling when it's either
Yeah.
petrol or diesel,
I,
and
th-
they
I think
don't
there is.
believe electric.
Yeah,
They don't
you've got
believe
those legacy dealerships with older gentlemen, shall we say, that are the sales manager or the general manager, and they just stick to what they know. They've always sold diesels, they've always sold petrol cars, they know what they like, they know the customer base, they've got customers that have come back multiple times from old family. It's like there's this transition happening, and you've got the old guard, the old Arthur Daly type, shall I say, that are
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of my sort of age, that grew up in the 70s and the 80s when being a
You're not
car
after
dealer.
daily though, are they? Are you? Come on,
No, but my sort of age, and it was almost like a license to print money if you were a car dealer back in the 70s and 80s, because that's the mindset that people still have about the car trade. But car dealers don't want to adapt, they don't want to change, they want to stick to what they know. And just a very brief story, I met with the Mr. Sturgis. Now, Sturgises were a massive Jaguar dealer group. They've since sold out to Marshalls, I think. But I met Mr. Sturgis, funnily enough, at DVLA or VOSA in London to talk about what should go on V5s for EVs. I was honoured to be asked. So I was sitting around this massive table with these government bods and these people from the car trade. There was auctions representative. That's when I first met Michael from Shoreham Auctions. But sitting next to me was this pinstripe gentleman, grey hair, and he looked like Arthur Daly, but he was a lovely chap. And it was Mr. Sturgis. And as we were going doing like a round robin thing, where everyone's from, and he sat next to me and said, "Oh, my name's Mr. Sturgis from Sturgis Motor Group in Leicestershire." I was like, "What?" I said, "I'm Jonathan Porterfield, live on Orkney, but I'm originally from Leicester." He went, "You were from Leicester?" So anyway, we got chatting. And at the time, they were just launching the I-Pace. And this is just typically went, right, okay, I want to have an honest chat. Says, come back to my dealership when we get back to Leicester and I want to have a good chat about EVs because I know nothing. And I thought, well, hats off to you, mate. You want to know. So I sat in his beautiful office, glass-fronted place. It's just beautiful in there. He says, right, so I know about the I-Pace, I know what it can do, but as a dealership, we want to know what profit margin is there about them coming back for servicing.
Right.
So he says, what sort of consumables? I said, well, there's tyres, there's wiper blades, there's screen wash. And he went, is that it? I went, yeah. He went, well, we can't make much money out of those. I said, I know, but that's a consumable within an EV. And he just sort of sat back in his chair and he was like, it was almost like a light bulb moment to him. And I think that sort of emphasises the mindset of the old traditional car dealership. They make more money from your servicing, that stamp in the book. Mm-hmm. Where in reality, there's not a lot to service on an EV, so there's not a lot of reasons for you to revisit the dealership for a stamp. And one of the major disruptors is Tesla. They don't even come with a service book. Now, all the other manufacturers, Hyundai, Kia, as great as they are as EVs, still got the service book. You've got to bring it back every 12 months to get that stamp book for some spotty youth to kick the tyres and top up the screen wash. So that whole mindset of the motor trade has got to change, and they don't adapt. And a lot of big dealerships are going into administration, going out of business. I think mainly because the market is just so nervous. They're so unsure of where it's going to go. So we're living in interesting times.
I know it's hard. It is hard to adapt, isn't it? But it doesn't mean that they can't adapt to kind of, and I know there are some dealerships that have introduced charging as part of what they're doing as well. So and I suppose the same with Tesla, because you kind of is it still available now where you kind of buy it, or you used to be able to get a Tesla and you get free supercharging up to a period, like I can't remember how long ago it is, that whether they still do
that sort of ended in 2018 on certain Model S and certain Model X.
Which I understand. I get that. You kind of, especially the pricing of kind of charging these days anyway, but there are other incentives, aren't they, that they can kind of use to get people back, but it's not easy, and like you say, it is a little bit. I think we get a lot of mixed messages as well with regards to kind of legislation, government action, various other things that come through. One minute it feels like you're being given £3,750 in one hand, and then they're talking pence per mile in the other, and it's kind of like, what? How does this work?
Yeah, and I think I've been thinking a lot about the motor trade, but it's a bit like the milkman. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the milkman and his electric milk float in the morning.
We still have a chap who comes round.
Wow.
During lockdown, that was a godsend, honestly.
Yeah.
Because going out and stuff, he'd be able to deliver other things because they don't just do milk anymore.
But that's a dying breed. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the bread man, the pot man, the milkman.
Yeah,
the coal man,
vegetable man.
Yeah,
made of vegetables.
All sorts, and they've because of the rise of the Tesco's and other supermarkets of this world. That's all. Most people don't have milkmen anymore. They just go and buy these big 2-litre bottles of milk. And then I was thinking, well, there's things like banking. High street banks are closing because everything's done online. So we're in this massive shift of human behaviour, and that's also applying to the motor trade. And they're just bashing the drum and complaining left, right, and centre. But I'm sorry, lads, it's just progress. Things are changing. You got to adapt or die, basically. I think.
And the thing is, when it comes down to it long term, how often? Well, I'm saying this. I know that I was just thinking about how often our car sits on our drive
Yeah,
and doesn't go anywhere
yeah,
because I'm working from home. And I
yeah,
know it's not the same. It's not the case for everybody, but there are people who don't use their car a lot. They've still got two cars or whatever, and it's kind of like some people move to one. We the aim long term really is that actually kind of find a way of having less cars and vehicles on the road.
yeah. And I think the other major disruptor, and I'm not a Tesla fanboy by any means, but in future times, Elon sees the fact that you'll buy a Tesla, and when it's sitting on the drive, it'll be doing something else. It'll be a robo taxi, and someone will use it. Now, how we feel about that as humans, someone else sitting in your car and leaving rubbish. But that idea of using that expensive asset on your drive to earn money whilst you're sitting at your desk all day, I think is brilliant. I just, we shouldn't have that asset that's cost a lot of money and a lot of resources sitting on your drive doing nothing. Make it do something.
Yeah.
And
even if it's powering your house.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, vehicle to grid. So there's massive change happening. And of course, you can't do powering your house with an internal combustion engine.
No, you can't. No, you can't. Did you see? And I think I talked about this a few months ago. There was an advert of like a skit from one of the, I think it was a home charger company, and I'm not going to say who it was, but basically they had somebody. It was a big skit set up, and it was somebody travelling around with a portable petrol station on the back of their car and going, do you want to be filled up? It was just so funny, And then it fell off, and that wasn't good, and the car exploded and things. But this it is like you say, things move on. It's like moving from horse and cart to cars, isn't it?
And I'm
People
sure
were unhappy at the time, but
I'm sure at the time, 100 years ago, there would have been pieces in the paper. And I keep trying to Google it. Was the people protesting about stable lads being out of work, and farriers,
blacksmiths,
and saddle makers, and stable boys, and people that supplied hay and straw, and were they up in arms because this internal combustion engine was going to put them out of a job? Well, it's progress.
Progress, yeah.
And we still have horse and carts. You see, I think in years to come, we'll still have cars running around on this highly explosive liquid called petrol that you have to buy from a specialist, highly licensed chemist that you can pour into your Ferrari to take it to a day out and then drive home and then mothball it and then drive an EV for the rest of the time. So I think we'll always see these old-fashioned, smelly internal combustion engine vehicles as antiques that people like me can reminisce about, but stand back and go, can't believe the stuff that's coming out the back of that. Stuff. Oh, he's only got 10 minutes to run it, and then he gets fined. So let's just enjoy the sound for 10 minutes before he's got to turn it off.
But don't get behind it, because otherwise you're going to get a gobful of smell. Just that horrible. Ooh. Right. Yeah, and it is, and it probably, especially for like kids now.
Yeah.
Sort of like the young kids at primary school, when they get older, and it'd be like, maybe not this generation, maybe, but kind of further moving forwards, our kind of kids, grandkids, great grandkids, they'll be like, oh my God, this is just ridiculous. Why did people do this, and why did they actually expose themselves to all of these things that they were breathing in?
I know.
But and it's funny because my nephew came down with my great nephew, because I am old, about 3 weeks ago, and he's got this great big. You'd know what it was. It's a flipping Range Rover thing, and sorry guys and ladies who are listening and going, she's rubbish at remembering cars, but I am. I like driving them, but anyway, so this one was a Range Rover. It wasn't electric. He'd just changed to it. Gutted me last year, honestly. But it was one of those with like, it sounded like, and he's 40s, my nephew. Sorry, Adam, if you're listening, but you are. You won't be listening. it had really rasping exhaust, and it was on purpose. It like twin
Yeah.
exhaust, and I was just like, oh my god! And he was telling me, basically we were driving through Reading, and Reading's congestion is horrendous. We should have kind of, I don't know whether I think we've got some pollution sensors, but not in some of the, not in the same way as some of the other towns and cities. But I could smell the pollution from one of the vehicles in front of me, and he couldn't smell it. But I think maybe it's because I'm not driving a stinky car anymore, and maybe my smell's tuned in more to that. But
Yeah.
and he's going, oh well, I've got a filter. I'm like, no filter could blooming stop this from coming in. Come on.
Yeah.
But just talking about the way people think, not quite going back to dealerships, but what myths do we really need kind of nipping in the bud about EVs still? I mean, there's a lot, isn't there?
Yeah, I think range is something, charging infrastructure, and longevity of the battery packs. I think that's the main thing that Joe Public. When I meet them incidentally and tell them what I did and what I do, they go, "Oh wow, you can't drive very far." I'm in Spain. Well, it takes me just to charge. Well, using the Tesla charging network on my e-Niro as well as my Tesla, I get a ping on my phone. I've got to interrupt my meal to go back and move the car because it's finished charging. So it takes about 40 minutes. It's too quick. In Spain, I'm looking for slower rapids. So I've got time to do a shop around the local supermarket. I'm covering this video that's coming out tomorrow, actually, Tuesday night, called the good, the bad and the ugly aspects of charging in Spain. So, and I cover the fact that some chargers are too fast, and I look for slower ones. But anyway, I think they're the main things. The other great thing I like to see is high mileage EVs, which helps dispel people's fears. So I bought 260,000 mile Tesla Model S for Johnny Smith from he's got the Late Break Show on YouTube.
Right.
So I've known Johnny for a few years through Robert Llewellyn. So I bought him a £5,000 Tesla Model S with 260,000 miles.
You talked about this on your YouTube channel because I was tuned into that one. Yeah.
It's got free supercharging. He just uses it as a tool when he drives around the country looking for barn finds. So he looks for old internal combustion engines that are in a barn and tries to get them going. It's very entertaining to watch. So I bought him that and he actually loves it. And then just a couple of days ago, there was a YouTube video from EV Wales. He didn't do the video, but someone else did. It's called The Car Nut. Anyway, it was a 21 plate Kia e-Niro with 240,000 miles. Ex-taxi. It was sold at BCA as a non-runner. So this EV mechanic in Wales bought it, going, well, if there's something wrong with it, I can fix it. All that was wrong with it was a 12-volt battery.
Oh no! Oh my god!
Stuck a 12-volt battery.
It was sold as a non-runner.
Non-runner. He bought it for £2,500.
Oh god!
This 21 plate Kia e-Niro. I'll send you the link for the video. It's very interesting. And basically, he goes out and drives it. There's a slight wheel bearing noise on one of the rear wheels. And they looked underneath. It's the original battery pack from Kia. 250,000 miles.
Oh.
It ran, and he's running perfectly, and he's going to keep it as a courtesy car for his EV customers that come in for a service. Mm-hmm. So that I like to promote. There's cars out there with moon mileage still on the same battery.
Yeah.
And I just can't emphasise enough. And this will come out as we go through time. These better chemistry batteries will start to become the norm. So you're looking at the early Nissan Leafs, which had they had zero thermal management, poor battery chemistry. So yes, they did degrade, particularly 30 kilowatt hour Leaf. And people will read one story about degradation on a Nissan Leaf and think that applies to every EV.
Yeah.
And just trying to get the message across that some manufacturers like Hyundai and Kia and Tesla have got amazing battery management systems where they're doing moon mileage miles on the same pack and he did a state of health check on this Kia e-Niro. It's still at 100%.
I was going to ask you that.
because there's a buffer at the top and the bottom of the
Blimey.
keep battery. So there has been some degradation, but it's not actually seen in its range on the gasometer in the car. Still did 260 miles on a full charge. It's just incredible. And it's the same battery pack. So that's one of the main hurdles that I just keep trying to bang on about on the YouTube channel, to encourage people to have the confidence to buy a £2,500 non-running Kia e-Niro from auction.
So, just thinking about what you've just said on mileage there, and you said it's still on its original battery pack. And excuse my complete lack of knowledge on this for combustion engine cars, because my dad always used to say to me, when you get to 100,000 miles on a petrol car, you have to swap it. Do you know what I mean? And that always stayed in my head. So when I was ever heading up towards 100,000, then I'd trade it in.
Yeah.
Where what is the difference on average before anything like major engine wear and stuff like that? You know, we're talking 200 odd thousand for an electric. Where do we start getting to on a combustion engine? How many miles before it totally goes?
So each manufacturer is different. So famously at the moment, that's in the news, is the Ford EcoBoost engine, little 1 litre turbocharged engine in Fiesta and Focus and some Mondeos. Mondeos? It's not called Mondeo. Anyway, some of the large Fords.
Yeah.
And it's about 20,000 miles. They've got what's called a wet belt system, where the cam belt runs around in oil. And to cut a long story short, the oil degrades the rubber cam belt. Yeah, exactly, because it's rushing around, it's sloshing around in oil.
Yeah.
And of course, at about 25, 30,000 miles, instead of calling it an Eco Boost, you call it an Eco Boom, because the engine goes boom.
Belt goes.
So that's one end of the scale with internal combustion engine on a modern engine. And then the other end is you've got the Lexuses and the Toyotas of this world that will easily do 200,000 miles. Still, we're having the regular oil changes. So it just depends on what manufacturer, when it comes to petrol and diesel cars, have got that known longevity within it. But as regards to the motor trade, you're right. If anything that hits 100,000 miles, the value just drops suddenly because us drivers of a certain age, I remember I had a Ford Cortina and it gets to 60,000 miles and you had to have a decoke, which made taking the head off and making the valves sit in the valve seats tighter because they'd get build up and they wouldn't seal and you'd lose compression and lose power and start burning oil and stuff. So you had a decoke at 60 and then that disappeared. But it's still now, you get a car with 100,000 miles and as soon as it reaches that, the value just plummets because of the mental psyche of the motor trade and the car buying public. So it's interesting, and that is carrying on now into EVs. Hence
Yeah, people are worried, aren't they?
1,000-mile Kia e-Niro was only $2,500 as a non-runner because dealers would have thought, well, the battery's had it, the motor's had it, and all it was a 12-volt battery. So he got himself a bargain. And Johnny Smith, 266,000 miles, that has had, I think that's down to 89% state of health, because that's been supercharged multiple times.
Yeah.
But it's still on the original battery.
Yeah, I mean that in itself is amazing, and I know that at some point, I think from what I was talking to somebody a few months back on the podcast, and she was saying about, you know, insurance companies at the moment, if there's an issue with the battery, they'll replace the whole battery, and that's what the cost is. But really, you can take out an individual cell, but as long as you align it and you kind of balance it back again, you know, you
can with certain cars. I don't think you can with the Kias, but I know Cleveland EV, I know them really well. So they've done battery upgrades and replacement cells on the 30 and 24 kilowatt hour Leaf, and they are modular. You can take the pack apart, put new modules in, and then rebalance the whole pack to make it come back. And there's several companies now doing, particularly from China, doing battery upgrades for the 24 and the 30 kilowatt hour Leaf. So you can now get like 50 kilowatt hour packs in the old Nissan Leaf. That is, you've got to question whether that's worth it, because it's like £4,000 or £5,000 on a car that might only be worth £4,000 or £5,000. So there is a market developing for battery upgrades as well as battery replacement cells. But I can't emphasise enough, it's only appears to be at the moment in cars with the early chemistry, like
Yeah.
the Nissan Leaf.
Yeah.
The others,
The Renault Zoe, because that Renault,
the
yeah.
Renault Zoe's batteries are okay actually because they've got
Yeah.
some basic thermal management. It's just the rest of the hardware on the Renault that's questionable. The onboard charger and the inverter and stuff like that can be really flaky on the Renaults. But battery-wise, the Renaults are great. It's just the rest of the car that's a bit dodgy.
But so am I right? I have a feeling that the Renault Zoe, you can still take that battery out and reuse it for, kind of,
Yes, battery storage.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And the
So
other, there is no EV batteries in landfill as we speak. They're too valuable. They're
yeah,
just getting repurposed
and
for
this
stuff.
and this, do you know what? Thinking about the kind of the questions that I've been asked and other people have been asked in sessions as well. They are about the minerals. The
Yeah,
questions that get asked are about kind of minerals and kind of small kids down mines and things like that
yeah,
in wherever, but also the kind of the kind of the circular economy when it comes to batteries and things like
yes,
that. But like you
yeah,
say, there's that
yeah,
they're being used, aren't they? Like
yeah,
companies like Connected Energy up in the northeast,
yeah,
they're kind of using old like Nissan Leaf or old Renault Zoe batteries to actually
yes,
use for battery storage for,
yeah,
especially because the guy from Connected Energy was basically saying they can put them in a container and use them when they can't have a grid connection when they need charging, as
yes,
in EV charging, so you
yeah,
can use that as the backup, which
yeah,
to me, this is the innovation I love. Seeing it coming from a
mm,
vehicle and going into all the things.
yes,
I don't know whether you heard a couple of years ago, um, there was a company, they were powering the main one of the stages at Glastonbury with
yeah,
batteries. So
mm,
that just to
yeah.
me makes a massive difference, doesn't it?
And the other thing to consider is I know, oh dear, Ewan McTurk really well. Ewan McTurk, Plug Life TV on YouTube.
I know you, and he's lovely,
He's
Dr. Ewan.
amazing. And he's just brilliant. He is a battery chemist, and what he
He
doesn't know
is.
about batteries isn't worth knowing. Basically, he's done a video about a company, I think it's in Edinburgh or in Scotland somewhere, who recycle batteries. So you will get some batteries that have been in massive accidents and the pack's all
Mm,
twisted or mangled or whatever.
mm,
So there's no chance of actually using that pack because it's just too far gone. But he visited a company that basically takes out the cells and mashes them all up in simplistic terms and extracts all those precious minerals and metals and repurposes them. So there is, I think it's something like 98% recyclable, the actual pouches
amazing.
themselves. So there's that industry that's starting to grow. But again, I can't emphasise enough, you haven't really got enough packs to make it financially viable. But they've done it with government funding to show that it can be done. But until there's more packs that have been in written off cars and they're all mangled up, then they're not yet able to recycle them, which tells you everything you need to know, really. It will come into effect in 10, 15, 20 years' time. They will have enough batteries to make a business.
Mm.
So,
And at least I was just thinking then I was actually watching something recently, and I'm just googling it while we're speaking. Sorry, folks, but and Jonathan, vapes. There was
yeah.
there there's minerals in vapes. Here we go: nickel, chromium, lead, copper,
Ooh,
tin, zinc, aluminium, silicon, and other elements like manganese, cadmium, iron, other things. They just get chucked away.
yeah. Bonkers.
So actually, for anybody who's smoking using vapes, there there's a shed ton of blooming minerals in those that just literally get chucked.
Yeah.
So it's yes, batteries are bigger, but at least there are things being done about them. You know.
Don't get me started on vaping. I'm trying to clean up the city's air, and all these teenagers walking around with these vapes it's just bonkers, isn't it? We're odd as humans. We're bonkers, aren't we?
I know, we just go from one thing to another
I
and
know.
keep poisoning ourselves. But let's not talk about I want to talk about Shoreham because when you were
Yes.
talking, and I didn't actually say anything earlier, when you were talking BCA, you meant British Car Auctions, didn't you? For
Horrendous.
those
Yeah.
of you who didn't know what that term was. But Shoreham Vehicle Auctions, you've been doing some stuff with them, and that's where
Yeah.
I caught your YouTube channel
Yeah.
probably a couple of months back now, and I was kind of like, oh, this is really interesting. It's Jonathan, who I've wanted to talk to. And then I sent you a message, didn't I? Kind of
Yes.
going, you've got to join me on the podcast. Please join me. But that it's so interesting because, like I said, you're not really retired. You kind of
No.
are. Poor Mrs. P, you know. You are in Spain at the moment, but even so, you're every Thursday you're on
Every
YouTube.
Thursday they have a sale, and I put it out Friday night, 6 p.m. on YouTube of that week's sale. I've just eaten, so they'll have like, I don't know, 150 cars, and perhaps 30 of them will be electric. So I just edit out the dirty, smelly ones and just have the EVs, just to let people know what they're fetching at auction, and it's popular. People like it. And
So
sure, don't object to me videoing them. I did another video that's very popular. How BCA threatened me with legal action because I was doing their videos. I
oh
was
my
doing their
God.
auctions, and they basically said, "Shut up or else." And BCA are part of the Constellation Group. They're massive. They own WeBuyAnyCar.com and Cinch and Marshall Group. And anyway, so long story short, I'm no longer allowed to video the selling prices at British car auctions for EVs. But Shoreham, like, bring it on. And they've had a number of my subscribers actually on the back of my videos go down the following week and stand in the hall, stick their hand in the air and buy an EV, which pleases me greatly. I don't get anything out of it. So Shoreham are really embracing the fact that they're happy for me to do the broadcast. And that culminated in the fact that I thought, well, when I go back under the Channel Tunnel early March, I'm not that far away from Shoreham. So wouldn't it be good if... So I contacted Shoreham and the auctioneer and the manager, and they went, yeah, bring it on, that'd be great. So I'm going to be there on the 12th.
12th of March.
I'm going to be
So
there on the
let's
11th.
talk about this because this is important because so Jonathan is going to be at Shoreham Vehicle Auctions on the 12th of March.
Yeah,
Now, actually, do you know what? This is going to go live before then. So if you're watching and listening and you want to meet Jonathan and you want to find out how vehicle auctions work,
yeah,
especially with regards to EVs, take note of what he's just about to say.
yeah. So I'm
Go
going to
on.
be there on the Wednesday for the preview because Michael and Shoreham want to catch up and have a natter, but I'm happy to show people around the auction on the Wednesday. But Thursday is the actual sale. So far, I've got 21,000 subscribers, I think. So 21,000 people are going to turn up. So there's about 8 that have messaged me via YouTube to say they're definitely 100% going to be there. And 2 or 3 are going to be there on the Wednesday because they can't make it on the Thursday. So I've had a number of people say, well, I'm not going to buy, but can I come down anyway and watch? So I said, yeah. And I'm there to help people see what I'd look for and just to give them a general idea of the whole vibe so that it gives them the confidence to go themselves. So I'll be there on the 12th. The reason I'm not there every week is it's 800 miles from Orkney.
Yeah, it's a bit
I
of a long
can't
way,
pop
really,
down,
isn't it? Yeah.
can't pop down every
I think
Thursday.
Mrs. P might be a little bit peeved.
We're going to stay in a spa hotel in the Midlands, so I'm going to leave her there for the day and then drive back down to Shoreham. So,
Oh, God.
so she's going to be happy.
As long as she is, as long as she's all
Yes,
right.
we've
So,
done
so
following.
you, so let's just because yeah, you've got 21,100 subs, which is fantastic. You've got 981 videos on your YouTube channel. So just search up
Sorry,
Jonathan
if you can't
Porterfield.
sleep one night, there's lots of soporific videos there for you.
But what I was going to say, so the first day you're going to be there, it's you kind of said, and everybody, check out the video where he's talking about what he's going to do
Yeah,
at Shoreham, because you basically said that you're going to kind of be there, and if any of your YouTube subscribers turn up, you're kind of going to chat to them
yeah,
about what to look for, but then you'll be there on the day of the auction as well, won't
yeah,
you?
yeah. That's right. I'm going to stay for that. And I'm going to do a video vlog about it as well, and hopefully the people that are there are happy to be on camera. So yeah, we're just gonna wing it basically, see what happens. But I'm keen to let people know that it's not that dangerous a thing buying from auction, particularly when they're ex-lease. The days in the 60s and 70s where the only cars that went through an auction were really dodgy examples that were just, there's a story behind them. But with lease cars, they just want to dispose or sell this asset and liquidate the cash and get it back. So with lease cars, particularly if they're still in warranty, all you've got to look at is the condition, tread depth of the tyres, and that's it. There's no, like I said at the top of the interview, there's no clutch to worry about, there's no smoke exhaust, no fuel filters, and all the usual gambits. You're not going to start it and listen for the engine knocking. So it's a safe bet buying from auction, and I just want to help people get a hands-on experience of what I look for.
And somebody like me, so general public, you can go on Shoreham Vehicle Auctions, which is shorehamvehicleauctions.com.
Yeah.
You can put in the auction date, can't you?
That's it.
And then I can't remember what there's a filter that you have to add, isn't it?
There's a filter that's fuel type, so just click electric and then just show all, and you'll just see all the electric cars coming through.
And is it only on a Thursday that they bring the EVs in?
Mostly, there's a sale today actually, Monday. There's some part exchanges. There's an old 24 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf. That's a dealer part exchange, which might be okay, but it's, in my mind, it's a little bit risky when it's a dealer part exchange. That's why I prefer ex-lease.
But you can see a lot more than general public. But
you need an account, so I can see what's called the cap values.
Yeah.
Which is the trade values of clean, average, and really and below average condition. So I can see those. But you can log in and look at the condition of the vehicles before you go down. And if you were to go down yourself without me there, basically you pay a £500 deposit to Shoreham, which you get back if you don't buy. And that gives you a catalogue, and within the catalogue you will see the cap prices for that day for those particular cars.
Yeah, but probably it'd be an idea to do what I did, which is watching you kind of as each one was going through and sort of just getting to understand a little bit about, because I like it when you call it bread and butter week, because you've kind of got bread and butter week, which is kind of various, is it like your Nissan Leafs and stuff like that?
Leaf and Zones, I call bread and butter cars.
Yeah. But at the moment, I can see for this Thursday, there's a Tesla Model 3 long range, which has got 34,500 miles on it, and it's a 71 plate. Then there's a 2022 Model 3, that's 20, so that's got 34,000 on it. So there's a flipping lot of Teslas, BMW.
Yeah, and right at the end of that list, Liz, there's a nice Kona from Zenith. It's got 60,000 miles. That's capping at about 10 grand. And now a Kona, 64 kilowatt hour, is the slight facelift one. That's a cracking value car. You can actually see on the dashboard, the previous driver got 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, which is normal for a Kona or a Kia. That is a cracking bike. So I look at these every Sunday and do a quick overview. There's a Volkswagen E-Up there as well. Which is a cracking EV as well. So
there's a Polestar 2 on here as well with 75,000 on it, a 71 plate.
Yeah.
So just have a look. For those of you listening, watching, you're interested. I am definitely interested. I just want to understand all of this stuff, and it's really Jonathan's great when you watch the video and he's kind of going through all the different cars, and you're sharing your screen at the same time, aren't you? So we can see what you see. So actually understanding what the cap value is and the things to look for and all that kind of stuff, which you can't drill down into it in the same way as Jonathan can, but you can have a look at various things, can't you? You can have a look at kind of, I'm just looking at it as a mini hatchback.
Here. It's green, isn't it?
Yeah, that's quite nice. So that's a 72 plate. It's got 27,400 miles on it,
It's quite
And
addictive, Liz. I do warn you. You'll be checking it.
well, it was a bit like going down a flipping rabbit hole, but it basically says what the carpet condition is, the seat condition is, the upholstery, but all of those things can be, unless you've got flipping, sorry for those cigarette burns or stupid things, burns on the seat, then most of these things can be managed, can't they?
Yeah.
It shows you the charging cable, the granny cable that's in there. So there's some really good stuff. And this is the other reason why I wanted to get you on here, because I just thought, actually, this is information that people need to know about.
And the other thing, just very quickly, is the Renault Zoe. And it's something I try to emphasise. Check it's got CCS rapid charging, because a lot of Zoes, 50 kilowatt hour Zoes, don't have CCS.
Oh,
and over the years, I've drilled it into Shoreham, and just to do a photograph of the charge flap open, showing the CCS port.
That's a good idea.
I always try to emphasise that when I'm looking at a Zoe, I check to see if it's got a heat pack, because you can spot some switches on the dash, whether it's got the big screen or the little screen, and whether it's got CCS rapid charging. So these little nuances like that I try to get across in the video for folks.
I think that's really important, and just to kind of, like you say, sharing that. And please do check out what Jonathan's been doing. I'm gonna ask you one final question. Even though you're supposed to be slowing down, if you were starting again today, knowing what you know now, would you still decide to work in this space?
I would. There's so many more dealers doing what I was doing, and they're good dealers all over the country. So the word is getting out there, and a lot of people are picking it up and running with it. So it's a more crowded space, shall we say. And it'll probably be a little bit more difficult to make their living now as to what I did then. But I think I'd still carry on with a buy to order. It's just, I would do it again. I'm just ready to retire.
Of course you are.
Because I just love being away. And not having the pressure is nice. So I enjoy making videos, but I'm happy where I am. But I've got no regrets. I thank my wife for coming up with the word eco cars all those years ago, and I thank her for the inspiration and the push she gave me to start doing car dealing back in 2004. It's her fault, really.
She's not been in the background. She is in the background somewhere. She's probably keeping very quiet. She told you about. I know. She kind of said something at one point. She sounds an absolute gem. Honestly,
she's a very long-suffering wife, and I love her. Great.
I think we all are, darling. Sorry, Rich. But anyway, listen, it's been an absolute joy to speak to you. I'm definitely going to try and get down to Shoreham in March,
and
I'm hoping that more people from watching this, will be able to see what you're doing. It's brilliant. Just you are such a kind person. It's lovely, and you do it because you want to share that information. Same way as me. It was just different kind of platform, different stuff, and you've got a lot more subs than I have anyway. So. But look, listen, thank you, Jonathan, and enjoy your drive back via all of those various places that you're going to have a nosy at tomorrow.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, my darling. And listen, so everybody, I will share all of Jonathan's links, but just as a final point, please do all the things that I always ask you: like, subscribe, share, let more people know, about the channel, about Jonathan, and check out our Electric Evolution LinkedIn page as well, and you can see updates on there. So thanks for watching and listening, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching Electric Evolution with Liz Allan. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you're a charge point operator, local authority or stakeholder in EV charging, I'd love to talk to you about our Charge Point Evolution framework. It's designed to help you create a seamless EV driver journey, boost utilisation and maximise your return on investment. Alternatively, if you know someone who'd be a great podcast guest or might be interested in sponsoring an episode, you can email me on liz@fullcircleci.co.uk. Thanks again for watching.